Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 20 of Ryan and Anna on Miami. How exciting is that?
Wow, I feel like that's quite a milestone.
I'm going to sip my coffee and toast to that. That's fantastic.
We took a little break
Yes.
because we were both busy.
Yes.
I needed
You
a
traveled,
vacation.
he went.
I needed a vacation. I took a 7-day cruise, which was just wonderful. And you had a lot of things happening.
Correct. Most recently, this week, I spoke at the first Inman Connect's first Miami event. They hold these big real estate events all around the country, and their first one took place at the New World Symphony this Tuesday here in Miami. And it was a huge success. People flew in from all around the country, and it is no accident that Inman's first Miami event is now, because they're recognizing where the money is flowing. And in fact, the topic of my talk was money in motion.
Money in motion.
Yes.
What does that mean?
That's the topic they gave me, and they give me these topics and see what I come up with is the impression that I get. But to me, that means recognizing what the trends are, what the main forces driving the shifts of financial polarities within our nation are. What's causing these shifts? And I led with an Einstein quote. And the quote it's a whole big paragraph, but basically it's saying if you have an hour to solve a problem, that he would spend the first 55 minutes thinking of the right questions to ask. And once you think of the right questions, the solution will present itself. And so the question that I then came up with was, what is driving this wealth and talent migration that we see around us? If we can identify those fundamental drivers, then we can see, will this persist? And I had 3 main points I want people to digest. One was that history never goes backwards, and there's this fallacy in human nature to think that that is the case. The other thing is that momentum cycles are real. They build upon themselves. And again, one of my favorite themes of politicians not being aligned with long-term prosperity and feeding negative ones. And the third is this concept that I call long Miami equals long America. This came to me after David Martin asked me. I've been saying long Miami for quite some time, but really, what do I mean by that? I mean that the human desire to create, to innovate, entrepreneurship, that spirit that force always flows somewhere, and it tends to flow towards the places of least resistance.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And I think Miami definitely has been the place of least resistance for the last couple of years, because not only for COVID, but on the political basis as well. We're business friendly, we're immigrant friendly. I think you're right. Like, there's
high quality of life on top of that.
Yeah, it's like water. Like, water always finds the path of least resistance.
It's going to flow. And what I did was to show this flow, I used maps. I used census maps that showed how literally had arrows showing where the flow of population was going. And then I juxtaposed that map next to a map showing top marginal tax rates across our nation. And sometimes the truth is very simple. You look at those 2 maps side by side, and it could not be more clear that the outflow starts at high tax states that tended to be blue states, that tended to be high lockdown states. And I preface that by saying that I have no political affiliation. Yeah. I'm a registered independent. If anything, I'm more libertarian than anything, but I don't like to have my truth be beholden to any other entity. My truth is my objective truth. It's not tainted by affiliation. And so these maps are very simple things. You see where that outflow is going. And then it's also important to recognize that people who make more money are more likely to avail themselves of the internet in the reshaping of their lives. So I had another chart showing the usage of the internet for hybrid work by income bracket. Okay. And the higher up you went in income, the more people use the internet to recreate their lives. And these are the people moving. And
the laptop class.
Correct. And the top 1% of earners account for over 45% of tax revenue at their local jurisdiction. So you lose 10% of them, you've decimated your tax base.
That's wild.
Yep. And that really resonated with people because they could feel it happening. And we had a lot of people from California in the audience, so I felt a little bit bad. But actually, they loved it. I had this one lady. She took a picture of the one data point I had from California. I said, there's so many data points we could use showing what a disaster California is. But the one I had was how they're spending billions of dollars to supposedly combat homelessness, but they've stopped actually auditing or tracking how they spend the money. Yeah. They've openly said that. They have no idea where the money's spent. So she actually took a picture and she tagged Newsom and she posted it. So the Californians liked it because actually they recognize these problems and it's shedding light on them.
I don't know about California as a whole, but I know recently San Francisco has spent hundreds of millions of dollars on homelessness.
Yep.
Just San Francisco.
Yep.
And it's always crazy to me because I know San Francisco is a lot bigger than Miami by like population-wise, but the difference in homeless to the capita, I think, Miami by last count had 600 homeless.
That's it?
Yes.
Okay.
And remember, Miami has reached functional zero for homeless, which means everyone who can be helped or wants to be helped has been helped. That's functional zero. We have 600. San Francisco has about 6,000.
Wow.
And like I said, San Francisco has more population, but is a much smaller physical space.
Yes.
Most of the homeless and transients unhoused are in like one.
They're concentrated.
They're all concentrated, and we have them here in Miami, but you don't notice them because there's only 600 in there.
Spread out.
They're spread out.
Yep.
It's just fascinating to me.
Yep. Exactly. But yeah, this point resonated with all of them, and everyone could. A number of people came up to me afterwards, and they said that I quantified and charted what they could feel is happening. Because they all feel it. They feel this shift. There's a redistribution of opportunity, of wealth, of creation, of talent, all those things going on in their country. It's early days. And then Ryan this week posted some great new census data that corroborates the ongoing evolution of all of this.
Yes, I'm going to pull it up here on my computer because now we have this capability.
Fancy. Look at us.
So this is from the Next Miami, but it's from the Census Bureau. And we grew 1.31%.
Yeah, I dug further into this, and it turns out this is measuring growth amongst U.S. cities with over 250,000 population.
Okay.
And Florida and Texas accounted for 8 of the top 20, and Florida had 3 in the top 10.
Wow.
And the other parts were highly in line with the patterns that we're seeing, where the Southeast in particular is taking over. Remember, we had that flip last year that for the first time since this was measured, the 6 fastest growing southern states now account for more of the national GDP than the D.C., New York, Boston corridor. And that is completely in line with the census findings. New York was number 3 for highest loss, actually.
Wow.
Yep. And now New York, of course, wants to challenge that because they think migrants should be added to the census numbers.
Okay.
Replacing taxpayers with tax takers. Good job, New York.
Yeah, what I was tweeting about this week was people have been saying that Florida or Miami-Dade at least lost population.
That spun off that Wall Street Journal article that started
Yes.
this incorrect thing. Yeah.
So for me, it was like, okay, Miami-Dade as a whole maybe lost population, but the city of Miami, which is where we are right now, gained.
Yeah.
As we saw.
Yep. Fantastic.
So
And we're building,
we are building.
so we can accommodate people.
Yeah. Oh, I have a little rant about this, and I've ranted about this before, but there's been a lot of articles recently about rents declining, plateauing, occupancy is not going as high, and I'm like, and I was like, what do you want? Do you want rents to go up forever?
They basically doubled in a very short period of time.
Yes, I know. I am very aware of that fact. Like,
Aren't we all?
and there's this weird, it's not sensation. There's this weird vibe that people are like, if it's not doubling or tripling in a year, it's bad news. Everything is crashing down. And I'm like, first of all, we had COVID happen. Everyone that rather moved here, it sent rents through the roof. And it also caught developers flat-footed. Because basically Miami has always had a cyclical market. We have a boom and a bust, blah, 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 blah. And developers build around that boom and that bust.
Yep.
In 2020, by all accounts, it should have been the end of the last boom. So developers were spinning down their projects. They weren't starting new ones. Everyone and their mother moved here, and they're like, oh, shit. like now we have to build. And so we built so much over the past 4 years. Everything is delivering at once, mainly, and it's putting downward pressure on rent.
Fantastic.
Hallelujah.
They doubled basically in a few years. This goes back to what I keep talking about, recency bias. People have this weird thing. They forget. People have very short memories, and they forget what things were like even 2-3 years ago, and they think that how things were is how things will always be. And in this example, that's really ridiculous because rents they basically went vertical. They spiked.
Yeah.
That can't go on.
Yeah.
And this is healthy.
It's healthy. I would like to be able to continue living in Miami. I would like to. And I make decent money. And yeah, I felt the stretch of it. Like, I felt it. So I would prefer that we didn't go hyperbolic every 10 seconds in rent.
It's crazy.
And then also, there's a ton of places opening, and most of the multifamily ones are offering a month, 2 months free rent.
Fantastic. Although a stat in that is that we have more multifamily units under construction as a percentage of existing inventory than any city in America.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's fantastic.
Like supply and demand.
Yeah. It's funny. I went a little viral. I don't know if I sent it to you, but I took a picture of the Plaza Wynwood. I just took, my normal construction photos that I take. And it went like super viral.
Okay.
It got 300,000, 400,000 views.
Oh, amazing.
And it was very interesting because people like some certain local personalities retweeted it, and then it went viral. And basically, everyone was lamenting the gentrification of Wynwood. And there was 2 parts about that. First of all, the Plaza is adding probably, I think, 500-600 units of new housing, which is fantastic. Second of all, with your recency bias thing we're talking about, people forget that Wynwood went from like the hood, like you didn't go there without unless you were strapped up, to a sort of grungy arts district, to now a arts plus residential and tech.
In a pretty short span of
in a very
time.
short period of time.
Yep.
And people are acting like, I would say maybe even previous to 2005, even back then, that's when Wynwood gentrified. That's when it started.
It's been a while now for Wynwood.
It's been a while. And this is like the second wave of it. And people were I can't even touch.
Professional complainers.
Yeah. And I was like, please leave my city, like talking to the tech bro person. And I was like, what?
My city.
I know. I was just like, and this is another thing. People, how long have you been here?
11 years.
Okay. I've been here 8 years. And people literally tell me to go back to where I'm from.
Really?
Yes.
No one says that to me.
After 8 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And listen, I may work in tech or did work in tech, but I've been here for 8 years. I'm basically like a local, and I experience a lot of the same things now that locals who lived their whole life have been here.
That's right.
So it's just like people tell this to me.
That's crazy. Miami's a city of immigrants.
Yeah, I know. Go back to San Francisco.
You go, man. Like, ciao.
Yeah, it's like, what?
I've never gotten that. Probably they're scared of my jujitsu.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of immigrants, I think we should take a moment and really talk about the life achievements of Tabor Hollow.
Yes.
He died a month ago, at 96. And this guy, we've talked about him before, but this guy had quite the life. He was a Holocaust survivor.
Came here with nothing.
Yeah, nothing. And he built some of the most iconic buildings and complexes here in Miami. He built what we're in right now. His East Coast Realty was a partner in building the Omni Mall.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that. That's right.
They weren't the main. They were a partner in it.
He built the Panorama Tower, the tallest tower.
The Opera Tower, the Grand, the Venetia, the building in Brickell that has like the columns, like where CVS is.
Oh,
now.
yeah. That's right. Yeah.
They built that, and they also sold, I think, one of the most expensive waterfront properties to Ken Griffin.
Okay, that's right.
The piece of land.
Yep, he's building his office building.
But yeah, he died at 96, and he had quite the life.
Good for him. I love stories like that.
Yeah, I mean, he had a very full life, and he changed Miami's skyline forever.
That shows you what's possible, too.
Yeah, and he came here with literally nothing.
With literally nothing.
Yeah.
Like post-Holocaust, with post-World War II, with nothing.
Yeah, and
that's
then
remarkable.
He also had cancer, and he was.
That's right.
His
that's
nose
right.
was like missing.
That's right.
Yeah, he looked like Red's skull.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
I love stories like that.
Yeah.
Anyone there sitting at home complaining, feeling sorry for themselves, stop it.
Yeah.
Honestly, stop it. It's one of those things. It shows you what the human spirit is capable of.
Yeah. I do wish he could have lived to see at least them start on One Bayfront Plaza. That would have been nice, but he
saw a lot.
He saw a lot, and I think his kids run the business.
Yeah.
So it's all in the family.
I find people like that so fascinating because you have to have a very limitless outlook in your mind to be that person.
And like even in Miami, he didn't have an easy life. He built the Venetia back in the 70s and 80s, and that was around the time that there was the first sort of crash in the economy in South America. And he lost it, I think, in foreclosure or something, whatever. The bank took it. But yeah, he basically would do a project he'd learn. And then one thing I did remember, he said he never would do more than one project at once. And he did his own money into it.
Okay.
Like he when he built the Venetia, they also built the Grand and this, and it like overloaded the company, and they were
over levered or something. Okay.
Yeah. So like he only does one project at a time, and he then doesn't start another project until that one is sold or almost completed. So
worked for him.
Yeah, it was really fascinating.
That's like an end of an era when somebody like that dies.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There's many other. I mean, we have a lot of new developers, but I don't know if there's any families like that left in Miami that sort of did that sort of, because even Related is new to Miami.
Yeah, Perez's kids are involved with the company.
Yeah.
But he's not as old as...
Who?
Perez.
Oh, Perez. Yes.
Sorry, my pronunciation. Both his sons are involved in the business.
Yeah. But they got here like in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Tabor Hollow has been here since the 60s.
Yeah, correct.
Anyways, it was just really fascinating, and so...
I love it. It's fascinating. It's one of those things where it's like everyone stop feeling bad for yourselves, get off your butt, and define your life to be
Yeah.
what you want it to be. If somebody like that could come here with nothing.
Yeah. And like I said, not to talk about it too much, like I said, he built the structure that we're in, and this was the first mall in Miami back when this neighborhood that we were in was literally like one-story houses, and that's it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. There are a lot of actual things to talk about. One of my favorite is Nativo is opening finally.
Yes, I was just in it last week.
Yeah, I know. I still need an invite.
I never know where I'm going, okay? So I meet Russell, I get on a bike, and I follow him. That's basically how it goes, and I never know where I'm going to end up.
Well, I'm gonna put a GPS on you so that I can just like.
And you gotta put a GPS. I'll be like, where am I, Ryan? I really don't know. And that's the truth. Like half the time I don't. And you have to keep up with him. He's not gonna wait. So it's like we're going like 23 miles an hour somewhere. He's like bicycles. And like... But Nativo's looking great.
Yeah, it is. And I took some photos. I don't have them on here, but I really like this project. They put a lot of thought into the streetscaping, which you really can't tell
Yes, they
here.
did. That's going to be an outdoor. There are a lot of, okay, so along the street there, they have a lot of like food that you can get off the street.
Yes.
Like a window that opens over in that. Yeah.
Bodega Taco is going over here
Yep.
on the east side. And I think his daughter is doing this restaurant.
I'm not sure. She's involved with Bodega. That's a family business.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay. But I think she's doing her restaurant either here or on
Okay.
one of their floors.
Yeah, it could be. That one there on the ground floor has a huge pizza oven. Russell said it's the best pizza oven in Miami. It's like a multi-$100,000 pizza oven, I was told. But it has, yeah, I know. But restaurant spaces are really quite nice at Nativo. I get it. I really like them. The first floor one is huge. They have the one that you can get street access from. They have other ones up on whatever floor it is. It has an outdoor, indoor one. They're really nice. There's a banquet hall. There's all sorts of stuff.
Nativo
Steakhouse also, lots of meeting spaces. Yeah.
For me, I really like the finishes at Nativo. I haven't been in it, obviously.
Yes, the tiles are really pretty too. They did great work with tiles.
There's a certain other developer who builds a lot of luxury branded products.
Who is Ryan talking about?
And it's like you walk in and it's just like drywall and sheetrock and just some.
Yeah.
I like when developers actually put thought into the textures and the finishes. I'm not saying like this, but I'm saying like they make it feel.
Yeah, actually, textured is a good word. Nativo has really nice texture.
Yes.
The wall finishes, the tiles, everything else. All the spaces feel really good. The rooms look great. The color scheme is great. I've been to many of the rooms. They all look fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a great project.
Have you ever been to the Wynn in Vegas?
No.
Okay. The Wynn in Vegas is one of my favorites, built by Steve Wynn, obviously. But the cool thing about the Wynn Vegas is every single surface has a different sort of texture. There's no like drywall walls.
Right.
There's something on every wall. And obviously that's very expensive, but I do appreciate it. And that's what Nativo reminds me of.
It has that nice texture feel everywhere.
And they're doing like lighting on that restaurant we just showed. They have like bulbs, like the string bulbs. Mm-hmm. It looks so good.
It looks really nice. Yeah.
I was taking photos of it last night. And it just feels good. It just feels good.
It feels substantial. It feels nice.
Yeah. Lastly, I'm very excited because
the pool deck is nice too.
Yes, I can't wait to go see it. Someday.
I'm being guilted here, can't you tell?
Someday I'll earn my right to go see it. Also, because it's just south of Miami World Center. Mm-hmm. And it's not a part of it, but they definitely collaborated on like the sidewalks because Miami World Center is like a master planned sidewalky thing and streetscaping program. And so it goes well with it. It doesn't just, Miami World Center is on the other side of the tracks and it extends to 6th Street. Mm-hmm. Speaking of 6th Street, I was walking around and 6th Street is wild. Have you seen other projects there besides Nativo?
There are tons. Everywhere you look.
There's Nativo, there's 600 My World Center, there's Ocon Tower, the Crosby, and Mello's Downtown 6, which isn't broken ground yet. But there's 4 or 5 projects in progress on a street, one block, in a one block radius.
This is true.
And other thing that's cool is that all those projects are a little different. You have 2 or 3 of them that are condo short-term rentals. You have Mello, which is attainable. And you have Ocon, which is ultra luxury plus hotels. So you have almost every level of housing or accommodation, like one product. Yeah, you have every level of product, a very small area.
Which is a good thing.
It's a very good thing. So I'm excited about Nativo, and I'm excited for the food options there as well.
Yeah, the food options there are great.
Yeah.
The Yaman is the spa is very nice too.
Oh yes, need to go.
Yeah.
Do you know if they're gonna offer it to like people off the street, or do you have to be at the hotel?
I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. Good question, though. I will find out.
Yeah. Speaking of other mega projects, the one that I'm excited about is, do you remember when David Beckham was trying to do his
Stadium
in Overtown? There's a giant piece of land there by the river, and this was approved by the county, and it is a really cool project. 1,200 units, mid-rise, looks like about 10 to 8 floors. Oh, it's Terra.
Okay.
It's by Terra. He's working with Terra. But it looks really nice.
It does look nice.
And this is like dead center Overtown.
Fantastic.
So I like the fact that it is in Overtown, but they actually did put some effort into the design, and
the scale is nice.
The scale is very nice. And I like the fact that it looks like it's going to have shops around the edges. It looks pretty nice.
That looks great.
It does. Here's where it is. So the 5th.
Overtown. PMG has a whole micro unit thing planned there too.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's in my update list here. But yeah, I was really excited by that because it's a huge empty lot. And I think it would have been cool to have the stadium there, but it's okay. I can survive without it. But that's a very good use of that piece of land.
Agree.
And it's going to be mixed income as well. So it'll be affordable and market rate. So that's very exciting. And then we'll also talk about... Let's go here, and then let's go to Brickell. This is Summit Brickell. This is the chicken lot. That's what it's called locally. So the chicken lot is right next to Mary Brickell Village. This is the Metro rail and mover right here. And this is going to be a 60-story building right there.
Wow.
Oh, this is Access Brickell right here. So for reference. I think that lot's been vacant for 25 years. It's very exciting.
That's super. They should put a statue of a chicken in front of it just to commemorate.
Like they have a little Havana like on the corners.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's called a chicken lot because my Miami-Dade has chickens that are survivors of
Santeria.
and then they escape and multiply. So
the lucky survivors.
Yeah. Let's jump over to Midtown.
Well, I once made a joke a few years ago. I saw chickens on the street. It's about 8 or 9 years ago by Design District.
Okay.
And I made this funny joke. People say bye when there's blood on the street. I said bye while there's still chickens roaming the streets. I was right.
I'm dead.
I actually made a map. I posted on LinkedIn. I made a map showing like the spot where I saw the chicken and its distance to the Hermes store. It was really close. I said, look, there's still chickens roaming free. Now is the time to buy.
My mother came a couple months ago, and she was my mother loves chickens. Like we had them growing up, and she was just so impressed that I lived in, because to her Miami is basically New York City. In her mind. So the fact that I have free roaming chickens,
it's fantastic.
Just roaming around this urban core is like,
how cool. I like the chickens too. I always get a kick out of them.
There's chickens at the Metro station.
Yeah, I've seen them. Yes.
And they live on like the palm trees and on the lights. They just chill there.
All sorts of wildlife here.
So I was tweeting yesterday, because that's what I'm always doing, about, oops, if I can click this, come on, about Midtown. So Midtown is finally starting to fill out.
It is.
This is Midtown 1. This is 36 right here. And then Target is like over here. This is going to be a very large project. This is Terra, I think, as well.
Terra's being quite active, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they gave up on the Herald property and they put all their money into other things, but it looks nice. It actually looks like a Nativo cousin.
And Harvey's building Nativo up in Fort Lauderdale too.
Yeah. And
he has plans to do it actually around the country.
Yeah. The other thing is everyone uses Architectonica, and they all look
like that. Yeah.
Like Architectonica only has one.
Pick a template.
they have
modify a little.
they either look like this, or they have like wavy or pointy balconies.
Yes, that's it.
That's the only templates that they know how to do. And people like always like yell at me because Architectonica is like a local
I know
thing, but I'm like, they're just so boring. And you know who loves using them? My favorite developer. They use them like exclusively.
Who's your favorite developer? Oh, Mellow. No.
Related.
Oh,
Related
yes. Oh, related, sarcastic related. Yes. Okay. Sarcastic favorite. Sorry, that's what I meant.
Like related and
Everything is all of them.
Architectonica are like this.
Yeah.
I swear they have a room in their headquarters. You just walk into it, just has these blank buildings. One has a wavy balcony, and one is like a box with like exterior, not exterior, like it's like an exoskeleton on the outside, like icon brickle. And a pick. You're like, I want that one in blue, and I want the finishings to be.
I want the finishings to be. You know what I want. Yeah. Do we have to say it?
Listen, I don't like ragging anyone, but Related Group does their thing over and over again. They get a brand, whoever it may be, SLS or otherwise. They market the hell out of it. They build it to minimal viable product, MVP, and that's
rinse and repeat.
Yeah, rinse and repeat. And we've talked before. It always ends in lawsuits and fun things like that. So, anyways, moving on. The other I want to talk about Midtown also is this is Midtown 7. That is over to the south a bit. Let me scroll down. I wish the Next Miami used better maps, but yeah, so it's down south towards 29th Street. Mm-hmm. But it's nice. It's an AMI project, multifamily. I like it. Goes with the other one they just announced. I think it's probably Architectonica too, I would guess. Doesn't say it, but I would guess. So yeah. However, what I was tweeting about in Midtown was that Midtown and all these projects, it's bad. It's good projects, but Midtown has no transit, and it has 2 entrances, 29th and 36th, because the railroad tracks are there. And all these places have parking garages. You're adding thousands of cars with no transit in the next probably 5 to 10 years. You're just not going to be able to drive to Midtown at all. You'll just have to walk, which is not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
But it's just, I think there's a Target in Midtown that's right there. I drive to Dadeland or up by Costco in North Miami. It's easier to go that far versus to Midtown, because Midtown is just such a...
It's a little bit of a concentrated thing there.
It's so concentrated, and just getting in and out of there takes 30 to 40 minutes. That's
how I feel about Brickell.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. It's why I don't live in Brickell, because it gives me anxieties.
It has those congestion points that you have to go through. Yeah. You have to.
But yeah, but at least Brickell has some sort of transit.
Yes, it's true. Yeah.
Like Midtown just doesn't.
Right.
So
we'll have flying cars one day. It'll all be solved.
Yeah,
we'll have Jetson style. I wanted that since I was a little kid. Jetson style cars. They'll go zoom.
Yeah. So all right, next neighborhood up is going to be downtown / let's talk about this one. This is Clear, which just popped out of nowhere. It's by the Miami Tower, sort of on Flagler there.
What is this, condos or multifamily?
I think it's condos.
Okay.
It's right by the Miami Tower.
Who's building it? I've not heard.
Yeah, they just popped out of nowhere.
Okay.
Clear, Kobe Car, Blue Ridge.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I think they're Canadian. From
Okay.
what I read.
Those outsiders coming in.
But yeah, literally this popped up. This is 60 stories.
Wow.
Just.
And where is this?
That's the Miami Tower.
Okay. Yeah.
And then it's to the south.
Wow.
A little bit. But yeah, look at it. It's got like, I would presume with this level of amenities, it's probably condos.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, that is. How to say this? That is the crazy thing to me about Miami, is that we still have the lots to do this.
Lots of them.
No pun intended.
Oh, whoops.
But yeah, like we just have that randomly in the most urban core.
Correct.
We can just.
Which is pretty awesome, because
we can just pop up a 60-story.
We're building for the future. In New York, you have to tear down and repurpose, which is very expensive and hard to do. But we can build for the 21st century.
Yeah. Speaking of the future, this is a project I am extremely excited about. This is called Metro Center. Metro Center is a redevelopment of City Center, Government Center in downtown, where the library is, and it's like on Flagler. Mm-hmm. That's the Stephen something government building. But anyways, it's a huge amount of land, and the Miami-Dade County wants to turn it into Brickell City Center, but with a public partnership, public-private partnership. And it's a huge amount of land, and they want to put in like a ton of buildings and like civic services, like a school. Let me see if I can scroll up and see where it says what it says. There's 27 acres. Yeah, and they're going to demolish like basically everything around the Stephen government center thing.
Oh, wow.
So it's a huge project. But the cool thing is it'll be mixed income. So you'll have actually affordable housing, market rate,
Workforce,
condos,
yeah.
workforce. It's really, just for reference, these are just massings. They're not, they've whittled it down to 3 developers who will be partnering, but they haven't yet chosen. So this is just a massing.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. And then I think that was it for downtown. Was there anything else? Oh, Wynwood. We're talking, because we haven't done this in a long time. So
we have a lot here.
we
And just point out again, no one is building like we are.
I know.
We have a lot of developments to get through. Other cities are not building anything.
Yeah. Let's talk about, this one's pretty cool. I forgot about it. It's called I-5.
Okay.
And it's co-living, like society, but the bedrooms start at 1,500, I think.
Okay.
Which is good.
That's not bad at all.
Now, do I wish you could get an actual 1-bedroom for that amount? Of course, but we live in reality here. This is perfect for the offices they're building in Wynwood. They're like the tech offices that like just like a single guy, a single girl who doesn't have anything else, and they just need like a bedroom to go.
So these are apartments with multiple bedrooms, and people rent bedrooms, and they have some central management system for renting them out, and blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a very nice dorm.
Yep.
But the cool thing I like about it is that if your roommate defaults or doesn't pay the rent, it's not on you.
Because they keep it separate in their system. They're billing people separately.
Correct. So if they default, they just kick them out and get
great.
And get a different person.
That's great.
Yeah.
People have done this all throughout history. New York in the 1950s had co-living places, not with tech, obviously, but they had these buildings for young single women, for all these things. Yeah. This is a known concept. It's not something new.
Didn't they used to call it single room occupancy or something like that?
Yes, correct. That's right. Yep. Yeah. Seattle has built a lot of them too.
Yes. And I think it's great because you need to build for what the market
It's a solution.
needs.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're new to a city, you're in your early 20s, you want to get your feet on the ground, you have a new job, whatever it is, that's fantastic. What an easy way to get there and be in a prime spot where you need to be and start your life. It's great.
Yeah. Also, Society Wynwood does that.
Okay.
And they just opened. That street in Wynwood actually is crazy. It's 24th or 25th. And on one end, you have Society Wynwood, which is huge. It's like 400 some units. On the other end, you have ALMI Wynwood that just opened. And that's 800 units on just. And on that note, as we're talking about, I think before we started doing this, both those places are offering 2 months free rent.
Wow, that's great. Fantastic. Pressure off the rental market.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I am very happy about that. I'm very happy living where I am now. I like my place, but in the off chance that they jack my rent through the roof this November, I will now have options.
Which probably means they won't check your rent.
Yeah,
that's how the market tends to work.
I'm hoping. I already have a strongly worded letter set up
there you go.
if they try it. Speaking of Wynwood, we were talking about this before we started recording, but the office drama in Wynwood I wanted to touch on. This is from The Real Deal, and they're talking about the Gateway, because the Gateway at Wynwood had just went into foreclosure, or the mortgage went into servicing or something. And I was talking about it, and it was interesting because the article is written negatively, as the presses want to do. Basically, all they're saying here is there's a correction.
Okay,
that's it. That is the drama. And like I was saying with rents before, all the rents in Miami-Dade, residential and commercial, went through the roof in the past 2 to 3 years.
That's right.
It went through the roof.
That's right.
All that's happening here is we're just getting a little correction.
Just good.
Which is very good, because this is going to allow people who could not afford before to afford it.
Correct.
Because the owners are going to have to adjust what they're charging in rent. It's that simple. So yeah, I was the article, I read it and I just rolled my eyes backwards.
So reporters have a political bias through which they see the world. And I think in many ways, going back to that map that I used at my Inman presentation, showing the outflow from high tax blue states that were heavy lockdown to us.
Yeah.
So it existentially bothers them that we're prospering, because we're in their minds representing a belief system that is negative and contrary to theirs.
Yeah.
So we should not be prospering because we did all these things that they think are bad.
Yeah, and they're looking for the downfall.
Correct. It bothers them on an existential basis that life is prospering here because we're not aligned with their political ideologies.
Yeah, I think it's also going back to what I said before we started recording, is that people were so used to Miami for 100 years having this boom and bust, a dramatic boom and bust cycle, that it's still there. It's just a little less steep.
Correct. Yeah, and one point that I've made is that when we want to look at trends and where the country is going, we have these prime examples of people who've made mega fortunes due to their ability to predict trends in their early days, such as Jeff Bezos, such as Ken Griffin.
Another one just moved here.
That's right. I'm blanking on his name. Correct. Yeah.
Something.
So we have these guys who have made fortunes literally predicting the flow of commerce, trends, all those things, and they are choosing to move here.
Yeah.
So when I look at what people say, like words are cheap. Anyone can say anything they want. It's irrelevant, right? So if you're going to take somebody's advice, you shouldn't look at what they say. You should look at the totality of their lives, what they've achieved and how they've lived. And that is something that is a good example to you. Then maybe you should listen to what they say because their lives are a reflection, not their words.
Yeah.
And we have these men who have made fortunes at this, choosing to move here, go all in Miami. All like related companies over in Steve Ross. So all these guys are going all in on South Florida. Meanwhile, we have reporters with socialist leanings trying to cast aspersions.
There's always we won't bring it up here, but there's always one that I send you, and I can see the eye rolling every time I send you an article.
This is what I mean.
A
So
person.
where should one hook their wagon? What's it called? Following or in the wake of people who've made fortunes in the open markets predicting things, or journalists on salaries with socialist tendencies.
Yeah.
So choice is yours.
And speaking of negative stories, this one is interesting. This is the one about the condos. It's like a recap 3 years after the Surfside collapse.
Oh yeah.
And how it's affecting condos. This particular one is the Cricket Club.
Yep.
In North Miami.
This was in the Journal, right?
Yeah, it was in the Journal. And basically they just didn't reserve any money for the past
a lot of buildings are
for
in
like
this
20 years.
Yeah.
And what happened is this building, like a lot of others, has older folks in it, folks that cannot afford.
They're on fixed income,
and they cannot afford these. I think this person got like a $50,000 or $38,000 assessment, and the whole building needs to be like gutted and redone. That's the basic storyline, but they just didn't do it for the past 20 years, and so now they cannot give away their units.
Yep, exactly.
They literally can't.
Exactly.
They're underwater on these units.
Yep.
And I think maybe was it you who was sharing or someone else? Was it Omar talking about like how all the inventory in Miami-Dade is condos over 30 years old?
Yeah, that was in the ISG report. Craig put that together in the ISG report.
Okay.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
It was just because there's no inventory that's new. Everything is like 30 years older.
That's right. Actually, I did a lot of press post Champlain Towers talking about what I thought it would do to the markets. And I said that it would actually bifurcate the market even more because we have the segment of our market that's benefiting from the wealth and talent migration, which tends to be new product, and then the old segments, which are the ones that are feeling the brunt of this rule change because they had those people on fixed income, blah, 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 and they have this problem with their reserves.
Yeah.
And that actually is exactly what's happening. So that segment of the market is suffering. They can't give them away because at that point, it's like a boat. You're just pouring good money after bad.
Careful your cup there.
Oops, sorry, my cup. It's empty now. My coffee
Okay,
cup.
good.
I drank all that coffee.
It was like balancing on the edge.
But our markets are behaving differently. The segment that's attracting wealth and talent versus the old segment that's getting hit by this.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting because the people in the Cricket Club are going to have a choice to make. They can do the whole boat thing, throw good money after bad, or they can sell developer.
That's their best bet.
Yeah, that's their best bet. And also, they're all going to have to work together. They're going to have to swim together or sink together because with the way that I bet you that Cricket Tower, I don't know this for a fact, but I bet you they have the 90% HOA termination in the docks.
Right.
And as we saw with Biscayne 21, one person or two people can stop the whole process.
That's crazy.
So these people are going to have a choice to make. And it's not pretty, but this building I think will be fine because it's in a very good location and it's basically on the peninsula, so it has preserved views all the way around. So they'll probably be fine. Someone will pick it up, probably a related group. But
the thing is, it takes some organization to swim together, whereas sinking together will just happen.
Yeah. But I think because when does the new thing kick in?
Next year.
It's like January, right?
Something like that. I'm not sure, but next year.
Yeah, they're gonna have to choose because the money. They have to have the money. Do you know what happens if they don't have the money? What happens?
I don't know.
They just. Do they get an unsafe building?
Or if it affects their finance, I don't know.
Yeah.
Ability to get financing, I don't know.
It'll be interesting. But anyways, it's just this one to me was interesting because obviously the Journal thought it was, but it's interesting. But yeah, you've got the boomers there who so they bought her $490,000. They spent $100,000 on renovations, and now they can't sell it.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's going to be sad, but I think we don't want another Champlain Towers.
No, buildings should not fall.
Yeah.
Ever.
And we know for a fact that unless HOAs are forced to, they're not going to do anything. So
There were red flags in that building for decades.
yeah, decades.
Yeah, decades.
Literally since it was built.
Yes.
And that cricket thing was built at the same time.
Ah.
And so were many. The cocaine era of building in Miami was like a giant boom. They built a ton of stuff. So
They had to put that money somewhere.
I did. But yeah, it was. I thought that was an interesting story, and I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen there. But
Yeah, their best bet is a buyout.
yeah. I think that is basically the stories that we had for today.
Exciting. We're back, everyone.
Yeah, we're back. Do you have anything else you want to share?
No, just that, again, I spoke at this Inman event, the first Miami Inman Connect event, and it was really amazing to see and talk to all the people who came in from all around the country. And many people told me that they felt what we were saying, and they all feel this shift that's happening in our country.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the point that I'm saying that it's early days and that people should be excited about it. Because it is an opportunity. Opportunity is getting redistributed across our nation, and we should all recognize that and align ourselves with it.
Yeah, we are lucky to be here, me and you.
That's right.
And it's like, I like doing this podcast because I think we're not selling anything directly by this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about Miami and the projects. I do it because I like it. You do it because I like it. I know you're an actual realtor.
We like talking. It's fun.
We like talking
We
about
have fun.
Yeah. And if Miami-Dade and Florida and Miami wasn't doing something interesting, we would be doing this podcast.
We don't have nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's like the fact that we even have a podcast to talk about whatever the drama is.
If we had to talk about New York's pipeline, this episode would have been done a while ago.
Yeah. We would have like five.
We'd have been like, and little Susie's building a treehouse over there.
Oh, boy. But yeah, so anyways, we still need to find a guest.
Yes.
We need to book our first guest sometime soon.
We will. We're
We need to
putting it
find
out there.
someone. Cool.
All right.
Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. And if you have anything you want us to cover or talk about, please let us know in the comments or in the DM. Thanks, guys.